And one of the things that used to just irk me about, when I had my team, if every family only wants a family photo in the lounge room, we haven't done our job. Welcome to Difference Makers, and today.
And that's what happens when we all introduce at the same time.
I knew something was coming. I was trying, because when we recorded the design consultation training at Jamie's studio last weekend, we, for the intros for each step, there's like 19 steps that you can learn about inside the inner circle. And those 19 steps, we have an intro video for each one. So I was trying to mix it up. So mix up the intros. They're very funny. So I was going to go normally it's like, hey, difference maker. Instead, I was going to go, hey, difference maker. Welcome to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast.
Are you doing that because it's the Valentine's Day post? You put
Maybe. Well, it's after Valentine's Day now, Steve.
You're seducing this Difference Maker voice.
Oh, seducing. Oh, that, Jonathan likes his accents. I'd love to hear Jonathan's seductive accent.
Well, Jeanine, today we're going to talk about, do you want fries with that? In my best
southern redneck, your southern redneck accent.
My best southern redneck accent I could do. I mean, I don't know how would you say that in Spain, or maybe in France. Do you want the fries with that?
Oh my god!
I don't know. Maybe that's not the France. Maybe that's Russian. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. My accent sucks. So let's get on to the real topic of today. Steve, do you want fries with that?
I always have fries with that, Jono. You know that.
What does that mean?
Fries. Well, it's all about asking whether they want the next thing, but asking in a way that you're assuming that they want it too. So assuming that they will want that extra thing and getting out of your client's way. So that way it gives them permission to consider that extra whatever it is that they could possibly have, because you found another solution for them.
And we're going to dive into what that means from a photography perspective. But Jeanine, when McDonald's started asking that question, you have some stats about the impact it's had in their business.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I had read about this when I can't even remember where now, but I was doing some research on sales and things like that, and McDonald's was used as an example, and it had 40% of their revenue comes now from that question. They attribute to that question on the add-on, and so people come in to McDonald's to buy one thing, and then they're asked, "Would you like fries with that?" And they buy more. And so it's this concept. It's 40%, 40% of their revenue. That's a lot of money. And so I think.
Can I ask you a question? Do you believe that if you asked every one of your clients, do they want an extra thing? If you had that extra thing that you could offer them and you asked every single one of them, do you believe that you could increase your revenue by 40%?
Oh yeah, more. I think for us, it would be even more. And it's interesting because, so I have a story back from my original, for those of you who listen to the podcast might know this, but back in the day, I used to work for Art Leather, which was a vendor in the industry a long time ago. And the sales director at the time, when you came onto the company to do sales, you had to go through her training, right? And so I remember sitting in her house for this training on all the different products. And that was her big thing and she told this story about this painter who worked for some queen. I can't remember the exact details of the story, but it was this painter who was hired to paint the portrait of the queen. And so he was paid X amount of dollars to come paint the portrait for the queen. And when he was having his conversations with the queen to figure out how they were going to paint this portrait, right? He didn't paint it without talking to her. And so he had these conversations. And so at the very end, he said, "And how many of these paintings will I be creating?" And she's like, "Oh, well, actually, I need 4." And so Christine would tell this story, and she's like, any other, like, he could have just painted that one painting and made good money off of that one painting, but he asked the question, and how many of these paintings will I be painting? Oh, well, and it made her think of, well, where I need to put them in 4 different locations. Like, I have this house and this house and this house, right? And so she trained us from the very beginning. You always ask how many.
Steve, it would have been better if he'd asked, where would you love to display this painting? He probably could have found about 10 locations.
Maybe 10 locations, but hey, at least he made more than one. But it's very interesting to me, that concept. That if you assume, instead of assuming they're only going to buy one and they're done, or you say this all the time, Stevie, we get in our clients' way. We get in their way because they've hit a limit of spending and we think they're done and they would never spend more than that. And so we stop the sale. And there's so many examples out there of people who teach you not to do this, and yet we do it anyways. The go for no. What did they say no to? Oh, they didn't say no to anything. Well, you didn't ask enough questions. And so, but we get in our clients' way because we're afraid to ask these questions that can really lead to so much more sales in our studio.
And that's why packages suck. Because you're assuming you know what your clients want. You're trying to shove crap on them that they don't actually want.
Well, if you do sell packages, you should ask, how many of these would you like? Could I sell you something in addition to that package? Would you like one more thing?
Jeanine, better still, what else would you like?
Yes, what else would you like? What else can we do for you today? What about your vacation home? The 4 of them that you have. What about Grandma?
When we started selling portrait boxes, we worked out that with the mat thickness of the mats and what we wanted to do, we could fit 15 in comfortably. There'd still be room. And so in our heads, we needed 15 photos to put in these portrait boxes. And we would sell a ton of these portrait boxes. But then one day, a client forced us to sell him over 30 matted prints. And we're like, oh, but you meant to cut it down for 15. And then I thought, well, hang on a minute, we just used 2 boxes. And it took that client to force us us to then open up to the concept that, hang on a minute, maybe we could sell more than 15. Maybe we could sell 2 portrait boxes. And it's only when we got out of the way and we stopped phrasing it. Okay, so, this holds 15 photos. So now you now need to, and we used to say this, get it down to 15. Rather than doing that, when we were open to selling multiple portrait boxes, we sold, now it wasn't every client, but so many of our clients would end up with 2 portrait boxes. And it's amazing how you can actually fit 20 to 22 in that very same box. But in our heads, we had made the decision that 15 was the right number. And so we tend to cap what we allow our clients to buy. And we should never be doing that. We should be assuming that what they love is so amazing that of course they would want that extra thing, whether that be extra photos in their portrait box, whether that be an extra single photo, whether it's something for their child's bedroom. Maybe they want something for work. If they have a holiday home, maybe they want something for their holiday home. And so when we got out of the way, and that's what we see a lot happen after the workshops, people begin to think, okay, well, maybe I am in the way, and they start offering that extra thing, and suddenly their sales averages double, sometimes triple. And you've seen it happen, right, Jono?
Yes, after the last Effortless workshop, I know that Darren and Rianne, who are inner circle members of the Difference Make Revolution, were had that epiphany that they were getting in their clients' way. Rianne was assuming that she knew what her clients wanted to buy because her own personal beliefs and blocks about what they would buy, she was projecting that onto our clients. So their one epiphany, that one tiny change of saying, right, I'm not going to assume I know what my clients want to buy. I'm going to let them have what they would love to have and guide them in that, having that, double their average sale. Literally double their average sale right after the workshop. Like they talk about in the inner circle that, their November revenue in last year was £22,000 for the month, whereas the previous November was only £11,000 with the same number of clients. So they not only doubled their average sale, they doubled the total sales for the business. With that one little change in mindset of not letting your beliefs about what your clients should have get in the way.
So often you hear photographers talk about, oh, but my clients only want to buy. And they have this preconceived idea of all their clients only want this. But in reality, it's a reflection of what they're comfortable with and what they are and what they would buy. It's not possible that every person that comes to them wants exactly that same thing. It's because we like it and we make that attractive for that person.
I have another story actually from clients who were at the workshop as well, so I had a conversation with Steve and Georgina who the other day, because they just joined Inner Circle this week. And during our conversation, they were also at the workshop. And during our conversation about them joining the Inner Circle, they were sharing with me that before having this epiphany, they used to believe that they had to focus on selling, this album to every client. That was their core focus. I have to sell an album to every client for this amount of money. I think it was for them £600. And I had to, with every client, focus on selling the £600 album. And they had the same epiphany. They've had their best January ever. And I think since the workshop in October, they've had like their best months ever every month since then. And they told me that the reason why was similar to Darren and Rianne. They discovered that who am I to judge what my client should have? Right? Why is that? That's not my job. My job is to understand what's important to my client, create something meaningful for them, and get out of their way so that they can buy willingly what they'd love to have and offer them that extra thing.
Well, it's also finding out where they would love to display something and giving, first of all, finding the value in them that they want to celebrate, and then where they want to display that in their home, and then finding the right solution for that. And it's not always an album.
No. Or a package.
Or a package. Because, a package usually, in my head, a package is, you've got one or two things that are quite substantial that a client might want, and then there's all the filler. And, when I've worked with photographers, most of that filler is guilt filler, that they're filling it with stuff that they want to justify the price for. But when we create something that's priceless to somebody, we shouldn't ever feel like we have to fill it with filler. And when we are creating something that is so individual, so personal, it deserves to be curated and tailored specifically for that client, I think. And I suppose everybody works at different levels. And so it depends on, the service that people are giving. But, for those people that are making a difference and do believe that they are creating something individual and personal for a client that does move them and elevates them, then this is something that needs to be created as a collective, as a, collaboration with your clients. And it's a unique individual piece for them that speaks volumes to that person. And that usually isn't something that's a package, included in the package.
So offering that extra thing, I had this epiphany when we were recording the design consultation training last weekend at Jamie's studio, where it's going to be funny for 3 podcasts in a row, because we've recorded 3 today. It's going to be me saying last weekend when it's like 3 weekends ago. I just realized that now. Anyway, the epiphany that I had when we recorded that training was about that extra thing. So talk to us about, typically there's like a trigger that people are typically coming in for, right? And then talk to us about how that extra thing could be a surprise. You know where I'm going with this. I'm going to let you explain it, because you'll explain it a million times better than I will. But that was an epiphany for me. So talk to me about what that extra thing could be.
Well, clients, when they start their journey with us and they apply, they don't really know what they want. There's a catalyst. There's a trigger. There's something that they've related to, and they think that this is the reason they want. And they want to come in. And I suppose it's almost like, when you go shopping, you think like last weekend, for instance, we went out because we wanted to go out. Rob thought he needed a pair of shoes. But in the end, we came back with a hiking jacket and runners. And he was so much happier, but we went out for formal shoes. Okay. Often clients will come in for a family photo because it's the done thing and people want a family photo. But they don't realize what else is on offer. And so sometimes when we call people and we realize that what this family really needs is to celebrate the core of that family, what really needs to happen is for this couple to spend time reflecting on who they are as a couple, because what they really want is to connect at a higher level or reconnect as a couple. And so, yes, you're doing a family photo, but often what I see when I'm looking at shoots for selling is when somebody comes in and says, I want a family photo, there's 20 or 30 family photos. They pretty much look the same, all on different backdrops. Maybe we've mixed up, the order a little bit, and nothing else. But this is the start of their journey. It's almost like you're booking a holiday. I'm going to Greece. Okay. Now, how many aerial shots of Greece can you buy? Right. But it's when you get on the ground and you begin to discover one of the cities. And one of those cities could represent one child. And then all the streets and all the monuments and all of those details that are in that city are all of those different facets, all of those characteristics that make up that child. And as you walk down those streets and help that client rediscover what's been there in front of them the whole time, but they've never looked closely enough to really appreciate all those details. When you photograph those details and you give that to them, they are overjoyed at being given permission to buy that extra thing that they weren't expecting, but love the fact that they got to explore it. And then you might go to another city, which represents another child, and do the same thing and give them the same opportunity. And then a different island might represent this couple. And as you go to the island and explore every part of that island, that represents every part of who they are as a couple. And then you're looking at it through the eyes of each individual, because each individual sees it differently. And then when you photograph it through the eyes of each individual, could you not offer that to each one? Because who wouldn't want to see themselves through the eyes of that person that means the world to them? And they're those extra things that we help people discover. But a lot of the times when somebody says, okay, I want to go to Greece, if all we do is take an aerial shot and never explore each city, never explore what's in each city, every street, every alley has something that we can discover, and they're those extra things that clients weren't expecting but are overjoyed at being able to discover about each of their children and how each of them see their relationship. Does that explain it, Jono?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
It made perfect sense to me, like with just like finding those unexpected locations for the additional artwork that they wanted to display and why they wanted to display it.
But I think it's only when we go down those streets and discover all those things that mean something to us and really fall in love with being immersed in these streets that are meaningful, that we can then decide where we would love to display something, because then we come up with a meaningful location. And one of the things that used to just irk me about, when I had my team, if every family only wants a family photo in the lounge room, we haven't done our job. Because not every single person can possibly want something that is so meaningful to them that they want to wake up every day and know that the first thing they see, the first thing when they open their eyes that they want to feel is what their partner sees in them. Why would that always be in the bedroom, in the lounge room? Why wouldn't that be the first thing that they want to see in their bedroom, or in the hallway when they open their door and come out of the bedroom? Or maybe it's in their bathroom because that's where they spend their time preparing for the day. Some people have a walk-in wardrobe and we've sold wall art for people's walk-in wardrobes where they're preparing for their day, and it's where they need to draw inspiration to be the best version of themselves, to face the day as the best version of themselves. So I use, and until we really got this, our clients defaulted to the default of above the sofa in the lounge room.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Why you would never do that?
Well, it's about helping them explore and helping them find something meaningful enough that they would want to find that place that is way more meaningful to them, for them to think about where they would love to be inspired by whatever it is that they discovered, so that they can start their day. Or maybe they need this at the end of the day to now reset themselves, to be a mother, to be a father when they walk in from work and it's in their front entrance. It helps them reset themselves, to leave all that stuff that work they carry with them from work at the door, and remind them that right now they have to be present. And this is everything they're working for. And they need this to remind them that now is the time that they have to be present for that person that is waiting for them at home. That can't be, always the lounge room. And sometimes it is, but not every client.
And that one extra thing, as you said, could also be not only additional pieces of wall art, but all of their favorites in a treasure box.
Well, that's the other mistake we made, is that we fell into the trap. You go to all of these conferences and, you're told that, you sell them the wall art and the rest of it goes in the portrait box. But when we decided, hang on a minute, if they absolutely treasure what the photographs that we used in their wall art. And this is something that they really attach meaning to. Why wouldn't they also want a copy of that in their treasure box to complete? And we are creating their perfect story. Why wouldn't we complete that with their most favorite photos, the ones that they decided needed to be in their wall art, needed to be up on the wall? Why wouldn't we complete their whole story in the treasure box? The moment we became okay with that, suddenly our clients wanted that too. And it added 5, 10 photos. So an extra portrait box sometimes to an order. And of course we charge per print that goes into the portrait box. So, when we sold 20, we made more money than when we sold 15. If we sold 17, we made, more money than 15, but not as much as 20. But sometimes we sold 25, 30, 40.
And it's so much more efficient than trying to put together an album as well, for a time efficiency point of view and profitability.
Design and speed. And it's something the clients aren't used to seeing. And a lot of the resistance we got with albums was, why would I spend $2,500 and then it be shoved in a drawer or put in a cupboard? Whereas with the portrait boxes, it's a moving work of art that, is designed to be displayed, and you can change that leading photograph to represent that emotion that you need for the day. And so a lot of clients, when we explain that, they use that. They come back and say, I did what you said. And you know what? It's made a massive difference to my life, because some days I need to hear, I love you. Some days I need to hear, you're a badass and you can handle anything. And each photo represents something very different to them. So how much value does that have when everything you need is in that one box and it can say so many different things to you? We've had clients say, I love it because it's not on the wall, because sometimes I need to move that into my bedroom. Some days I need to move that into the playroom. And so it's that incredible product that is versatile, not only in what it says, but where you can place it in your home. So that way you can get what you need every day.
Yeah, it's priceless, really, to a client.
It is, when we make them priceless.
Yes.
For clients, and believe they are, because we have to believe in them, because what they're buying is a piece of themselves, not our artwork. They're buying a piece of themselves. So,
Steve, offering that one extra thing, do you want fries with that?
We don't quite say that.
No. But to understand and know what you should say, the best place is to join the Inner Circle, where you can check out the design consultation training, where Steve, the maestro, the genius, as I always call him, walks us through the 19 steps of delivering an incredible design consultation experience. So all you have to do is click the link below this video, apply today, where you can join a thriving community of difference makers, of photographers who genuinely want to support you and see you succeed, as well as having access to the mentors and all the tools, training and coaching that you need, and accountability to succeed, right?
And to create an incredible experience for your client. That's paramount.
Absolutely, because when you do that, everything else is a reward, right?
Yeah, everything else falls into place. It starts there.
Okay, so thank you for joining us for this podcast. We'll see you. We won't see you. We'll hear you listening. See you listening on the next one.
Oh, we're going to see them at the Inner Circle meetings. They happen on a Wednesday and a Thursday.
Silly me. We'll see you on the Inner Circle meetings. Bye for now.
Hi, Johnny.